Cleo Virginia Andrews. Cleo Virginia Andrews is best known as the famous author V.C. Andrews. She was the youngest of three children, and she was the only daughter. She was born in Portsmouth, Virginia, and later on she moved to New York, Missouri, and even Arizona after the death of her father. She spent most of her life in a wheelchair or on crutches after she fell down the stairs at her school. They tried to do a spinal surgery, but it failed, so she continued to have to be in the wheelchair. But despite all that, she was a good student and even graduated from a 4-year correspondence art school, and she supported herself and her mother after the death of her father by doing fashion illustrations, commercial art, and portrait painting. She is one of the best known writers today, and she started her massive career with Flowers in the Attic. Now, Flowers in the Attic was originally titled The Obsessed. Well, her publishers told her that it needed to be revised. So she went ahead and spent one night revising it, and it was a good thing she did because Flowers in the Attic was on the bestseller list for many weeks, and there was even a movie made that was based off of it. Her second book was Petals on the Wind. It was on the bestseller list for 19 weeks. And after her first two successes, she went ahead and decided to make a standalone novel, My Sweet Audrina. Now, most of her novels are based on series, so it was really unusual for her to have a book that was just one story by itself. It had no continuance. Well, after she got done with the My Sweet Audrina, she went on to finish the Flowers series, and then her second series that she began was called Heaven. Well, she got into the first two books of Heaven, and then she died of breast cancer. This was in 1836. No, 1986, sorry. Her family wanted to continue her books, so they hired a ghostwriter named Andrew Neiderman. Now, she has over 70 books that have been published, and she only wrote 8 of those books herself. Andrew wrote the rest of them. Now, all of her books follow the same ideas, same structure. It starts with series, and it goes from, you have it to where you have the story about the child, and she gets married, has kids, and their children get a story about them, and then it'll talk about the grandparents beforehand. Most of them involve young women facing problems with family, love, death. Many of them are in the age range of 16 years old. They often have one or more parents that do not want them, and many times they are forced to leave their homes because of romances that led to pregnancy or pregnancies that were resulting from rape. Most often, the stories are rags to riches type of stories, but a few of them go from riches to rags and then back to riches again. Like the character in the Heaven series, there are often stories told of abuse, and there's always secrets hidden in the closet. V.C. Andrews seemed to have a bias against the rich. The majority of her rich characters are sneaky, secretive, and hateful. Her books are detailed and romantic, but rarely have a happy ending. Andrews and Neiderman both wrote in ways that draws the emotions from their readers. When reading a V.C. Andrews book, a person cannot help but feel anger at the villain and pity for the main character. Sometimes it's difficult to discern who the bad guy truly is. It's easy to fall in love with the romance that's going on, and it is a complete shock when that romance turns out to be a complete farce. Neiderman seems to be able to tap into the emotions needed to make a connection with the readers. Although Andrews is no longer able to write the books herself, her legacy is being carried on by her family and the ghostwriter, Andrew Neiderman.